work on their own body, thought, conduct, and way of being in order to transform themselves. This is crucial insight. The self is not simply discovered as if it were a fixed object waiting inside us. So that subjectivity is not something fixed. It's not something that's already formed inside us for us to find, but it's in constant formation. It's a constant formation. And I think it's not only prohibition or commands for Foucault, it's also formations. Right? The self is historically shaped. It is formed through repeated practices that are culturally available and socially mediated. This is also why Foucault matters for the study of Muslim subjectivity. He gave us a framework for asking a precise questions. What part of self is being worked on? What does a person bind himself or herself to a norm, for example? He gave us four maps of how subjectivity formation or self-formation can be conducted. And what practices are used in the process for self-formation, and what kind of person that is the person trying to become. These four questions move ethics beyond prohibition alone. Ethics become not only a matter of what is forbidden, but also a matter of formation. So he called it ethical substance. This is through one of the book that I read, Interpretation, which is written by Faras M. Sheikh. So what part of ourselves that we need to work on, that we need to cultivate, that we need to correct in ourselves? In terms of mode subjection, for example, what ethical reference that we are having, that we are using? Quran, Hadith, exemplary models, exemplary practices by the Prophet. What norms that we are abiding to, and what technique of self-formation that we are using: examination, writing, remembrance, discipline, companionship, or self-regimen. What kind of person? Telos mean what is the objective? What is the final ends of our subjectivity that we are aspiring to become? For example, to become abid subjectivity, servanthood, khalifah, or stewardship, or vicegerentship subjectivity, or rahmah, merciful subjectivity. So to become that kind of subjectivity, we need certain regimens, certain trainings, practices through, for example, writing, muhasabah, self reflections, what certain norms or certain models, certain authorities that we are abiding to, and what kind of subjectivity that we are work on, that we need to develop, we need to cultivate. This what Foucault is probably helpful to understand of how Muslim subjective formation can be developed. And to be applied in the context of Islamic subjectivity, for example, using Freudian term, the care of the self, we can use, for example, what's called riayah, adab, muhasabah, tazkiyah. Riayah means we care of ourselves. Adab, the ethics or the manners that we need to develop. Muhasabah, self-reflection. Tazkiyah, we need to constantly purify ourselves. Mode of subjection, for example, using ubudiyah, taqwa, prophetic as exemplary. The self is always tied with God, revelation, moral responsibility. The technique we can use what's so-called dhikr, remembrance, muraqabah, trying to be closer to God, repentance, tawbah, remembrance of death, suhbah, companionship, nasihah, good what what's nasiha in English? Uh, Good suggestions or good corrections, for example. These practices work on attention, desire, and memory. Telos, for example, in the long term, we need to be, or we want to be somebody who is mukhlis, who is sincere, who is taqwa, who is always in constant remembrance of God, being muhsin, in constant remembrance and always aware of God. So whatever the telos in the end of the day, we need to we can use these Foucauldian techniques of developing for cultivating ourselves, right? As mentioned earlier, this is some of the technique that can be used or technique to cultivate ourselves. Hasabah, dhikr, tawakkul, remembrance of death, suhbah, nasihah, right? As I mentioned earlier, there are some books that can be read for further reading, and it's very useful for us to understand Muslim selfhood or Muslim subjectivity. For example, by Muhammad Umar Farooq. For him, selfhood is multidimensional, can be consciousness, self-knowledge, embodiment, cultivation, self-transcendent, human flourishing. He differentiate between what so-called biological self, psychological self, legal self, spiritual self, this kind of thing. His book is entitled Sculpting the Self. Faraz Mashoud Sheikh is my friend in the US at the time. He wrote a book entitled Forging the Ideal Muslims. He discussed Muslim subjectivity is forged, is shaped through discursive and ethical practices over a lifetime, especially in dialogue with the works of Harith al-Muhasibi and Said Nursi in his book, for example, Kitabul Ayayah, and Said Nursi, Risalah in-Nur. He also wrote an article published in Islam and Christian Muslim relations on what so-called open-mindedness and hope, inspired by Surah Al-Kahfi, how to form an open-minded Muslim subjectivity. That's also help us to understand. Okay, now this is inspired by the book written by Faraz M. Sheikh, right? So, for example, one of the I cannot read the whole the whole PowerPoint here. It's cut a little bit. That's fine. But Al-Harith al-Muhasibi is scholar, considered one of the founder of Tasawwuf in Islamic scholarship. He died in the 9th century. But Faraz Sheikh in his book see him not only a Sufi, but also ethicist, in the sense that he, in terms of how to form Muslim subjectivity, it is not relying on what so-called legal ethics, legal subjects. For example, if you become a good Muslim, performing 5 daily prayers, you automatically become a good Muslim, right? Yes, this is a legal subjectivity, legal Muslim subjectivity. Nor Muhasibi aspires not to become, not to form what so-called mystical Muslim subjectivity. It means, usually at that time, what so-called tasawwuf or mystical tradition in Islam, the main objective is to be united with God, to be annihilated within God, right? Fana and baqa with God, union with God, al-ittihad, al-hulul billah, right? But that is what Al-Muhasibi's project here. So he developed how a Muslim subjectivity can be shaped through ethical renewal, constant ethical renewal. For example, the problem is a person recalls past sins. Everybody has sins, sincerely wants to repent, to do tawbah. At that very moment, the nafs and the Satan suggest conceit. The nafs, our amaratun bisu, our hawa, our desire, and Satan suggests that we becoming proud of ourselves. For example, I do a good things in life. This is because my own intellect, because of my own strength, because of my moral excellence. I join Sufi Brotherhood, for example, is because of my willingness, my autonomous will, for example. So Muhasibi will tells the slave tells us that to disavow, to delete the nafs of self-sufficient source of repentance. It means that no, those kind of achievement that we have in life is not because of our pride, of our mere ability, our autonomous agent. So we need to repent because of that kind of pride or conceit. So the ability to repent, the ability to return to God, it is not because of our own achievement. This is not self-generated achievement. This is because of divine favor, because of divine will. That kind of attitude creates hope without self-flattery, without self-pride. So the result, the subject become intelligence, slave of God, Abdullah al-Aqil. The hope of future obedience is grounded on God's continuing favor, not in a flattering view of oneself, not because of ourselves, but because of God. This guards sincerity. So this is protects, this keep us to be sincere and preserves dependence of God. So this kind of sincerity need to be protected according to Al-Muhasibi as interpreted by Faraz M. Sheikh. So bari'atu tawakkul means this avowal of nafs as self-sufficient source. We trust in God as the one who enables us to do repentance, to do good things in life. And that is abdi subjectivity. We are become the servant of God. We are having humility. We are rendah hati before God. We rely everything on God. The other things that he also discussed is the qadar, right? Against riya. Riya means love of praise, especially during this in the algorithmic society, love of praise, love of likes, love of viewers, love of followers, for example. That's the Al-Muhasibi Al-Muhasibi maps 3 roots of riya: love of praise, fear of being rebuked, fear of being hated by followers, by viewers, by unknown person in the social media, for example, coveting what other possesses, we are envy, we are jealous, what other have, for example. These are 3 roots of riya. And how qadar works here. Muhasibi use the discourse about divine determination, what is qadar, takdir, so that praise and blame become equal in the subject's eyes. According to our teacher, for example, Pak Irut, Pak Khairuddin Basori, and ketika when happiness and sadness is considered equal. So this is what when praise and blame equal before the subject's eyes. If provision, status, and outcomes are under God's decree, then chasing human approval loses its grip. It means that whatever people have, that is the takdir. We are not envy. That's not make us envy, that our heart become jealous, become dirty, become jealous in the bad sense, right? Right. So the ethical effect of understanding qadar is anti-riak subject, is less anxious about social recognition. We are not, we don't have anxiety whatever other people have. This is not fatalism, it is practical discipline of inward freedom, where the gaze of others, seeing others, is decentered. The subject is reoriented toward God. This is all is God blessing, for example. So social praise and blame lose their sovereignty, lose their influence in us. The ideal subject becomes less performative and more inwardly honest. This is all from God. So, and inspired by also the work of Said Nursi, who wrote Risalah in Nur, he is not all, he is considered Sufi sometimes, but I agree with Faraz, he is not only Sufi or legal scholars, he is also ethicist. So Nursi does not reduce Muslim formation to rule following, legal norms following, from legalistic perspective. He wants subject to can read reality, interpret existence, and find personality persuasive evidence for faith. So just like Foucault in the beginning that we have discussed earlier, Muslim formation is not rule driven, not also mystically driven, but the subject is always in constant formation through interpretation of the Holy Quran, for example, through many activities and many means of subjective formation. Nursi does not center spiritual union or self-loss as the primary frame, like the Sufis that want to be united with God. He foregrounds Quranic studentship, reflective belief, existential meaning for ordinary believers. So understanding, belief need to be renewed, need to be have renewal, need to be reformed all the time. So belief for him is neither static assent or inherited imitation. So we have iman, for example, it's not something that we inherited from our parents. It's not there that we just want to find it and we have to believe automatically. It is contemplative, evidence seeking. We always contemplate on it. So our iman, for example, in our childhood, in our teenagehood, in our adult life, is constantly changing, can be strengthened, can be weakened. That's depending on how we form our subjectivity of belief. Quranic guided perspective that transform how subject sees self, world, and God. So yeah, that's why Nursi criticized imitative belief, taqlid, proposed a reflective, verified faith that constantly tested, constantly reflected, constantly being formed. The individual is continuously renewed. So belief also needs renewal. A person may contain multiple personalities, aspect of selfhood at once. So as I mentioned earlier, from the work of Muhammad Farooq, there are many personalities. Sometimes we have biological self, we have psychological self, spiritual self, whatever selves that we have. Religious formation is therefore dynamic, unfinished. We are not finished yet until we died, probably, and sustained through constant and continuous interpretation of our norms, right? Why this matters to Nursi, he presents a psychological realistic believer. Faith remains strong, yet still needs renewal, struggle, and guidance. So renewed individuality, man himself and the world in which he lives is being continuously renewed. That's subjectivity according to Said Nursi. So just to wrap up, so from Farah Sheikh, we understand that No. This is the third one. The third kind of subjectivity that I read from Farah Sheikh and uh, and Muhammad Farooq, sculpting the self. Quranic story. There is another article entitled "Open-mindedness and Muslim subjectivity," through reading Surah Al-Kahfi, for example, here, inspired by Surah Al-Kahfi, the companions of the cave who sleep on the cave, but nobody knows when they wake up how many days, how many years they are sleeping. For example, they say, how long you have remained asleep? Perhaps a day or part of the day. They said to one another, your Lord knows best how long you have remained. So, no, Allah always knows the best. And also, from Surah Kahfi, وَلَا تَقُولَنَّ لِشَيْءٍ إِنِّي فَاعِلٌ ذَلِكَ غَدًا, because we don't know what is the best in terms of temporal subjectivity. We don't know what will come best for tomorrow. إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ وَاذْكُرْ رَبَّكَ إِذَا نَسِيتُ قُلْ عَسَىٰ أَن يَهْدِيَنِي رَبِّي لِأَقْرَبَ هَٰذَا مِنْهَا رَشَدًا. Allah, except when you say, oh, if Allah so wills, right? Illa ayasha Allah. So there is what is the lesson that we can learn from that ayah is that human beings do not fully grasp the temporal and numerical realities of their own condition at any given moment. How many days, how many years that they have slept in the cave? Nobody knows. Allah knows best. Temporal realities. What is the best for tomorrow for our life? Allah knows. We don't know, right? We cannot fully understand, fully know, fully have knowledge of what comes best for us in the next day, for example. So humility and openness are not threats to faith. They are conditioned for living truthfully in time. What is the moral effect from this? Temporal subjectivity keeps alive the not yet, what's not coming yet. It makes room for hope, revisions, human openness without surrendering conviction. If we have, for example, suffering right now, calamities right now, disaster, natural disaster right now, maybe we blame whoever worth blaming, but we don't know what is the best tomorrow. Allah knows best. Let's open the hope, open revision of our perspective, right? So the Muslim subject remains answerable to revelation while acknowledging creaturely limitation, our own limitation. So what we can learn from those scholars that we have read, from Hasibi, the subject is not self-grounding. Repentance, perseverance are tied to divine favor. From Hasibi also we learn in what honesty requires resisting riya, resisting self-pride in the visible world, and false sovereignty and praise and blame, right? From Nursi, we learn faith is a reflective practice, formative practice that interprets reality through Quranic guidance. And from the temporality, from Surat Al-Kahfi, from Companions of the Cave, we learn the subject lives with hope, incompleteness, openness to the not yet, ready for whatever will come in the next day. Right? So the self, in this regard, is not imagined as self-owning or self-authority alone. The person is accountable before God, in front of God, not only expressive before audience. So the person, we are accountable, not because how many likes that we got, how many views that we got, how many followers that we got, for example, in social media, but depending on God, right? Attention, intention, sincerity, remembrance, and character all matter, using different techniques of self-cultivation in Islamic tradition, as we mentioned earlier. So Islamic technology of the self is not productivity culture in religious language. It is disciplined way of becoming more truthful, humble, God-conscious, and just. So what technology that we can use? Muhasabah, honest, self-accounting, self-reflection, dhikr, retaining attention through remembrance of God. So, not constant attention attracted or tied with social algorithm or digital algorithm. Tawakkul, learning dependence on God rather than the ego of wanting to be visible in the social media, for example. Remembrance of death, cutting delay and moral sleep. Sohbah and nasihah, ethical companionship, trustworthy counsel. Sohbah is very common prevalent practice in Sufi circles. For example, if you want to become a murid and there's a murshid, the teacher and the disciple, you need to accompany your teacher. Same thing in educational environment, for example. Suhbah means supervision. For example, you are as a mentee need to be constantly have consultation with your mentor, academic mentor, for example. That's also needed in this algorithmic era. So these are repeated disciplines that shape desire, memory, speech, and conduct over time. So to protect the attention, because we need attention, it's very important and ethical field. We keep seeing shapes what we consider important, what is important for us. What we keep hearing shape our inner voice. For that reason, digital discipline for Muslims should not be discussed only a matter of time of efficiency. It should be discussing as part of guarding heart, limiting harmful exposure, making time without devices, reading longer texts, for example. How many times in a week, for example, we read a book, whereas every day we read social media, we read our WhatsApp, for example, notification. Making time without devices, reading longer text, practicing mindful remembrance, and creating moments for silence before reacting to all part of spiritual discipline today. This kind of spiritual discipline as well to be what to be istirahat, to be resting ourselves from social media. Train the nafs. Use muhasabah against speed, envy, self-display, compulsive reaction. That's training our nafs. Remember, against riya, again, three source of riya that we mentioned earlier. Muhasabah is a very useful tool for us to self-accounting, self-reflection, against self-display, envy, and everything. And also, it's very important to build authority. The formation of Muslim subject still requires teachers, communities, living examples, being offline with our friends, traditions of learning that form adab, that shape our adab, our manners, our ethics, not only at data. In this sense, technology should assist the path of learning, not replace the whole ecosystem of moral education. And practice justice as well. We need to ask what kind of system that we are using, who benefits, who is harmed, what biases are being maintained, what forms of surveillance are being normalized, who is increasingly silenced by the logic of the digital platform. In this way, Islamic technology of the self should not stop personal piety. It should also form sensitivity towards structures of injustice. Yeah, this democratic access to digital platform. So in practical matter, for example, we need to create zones for prayer, study, silence, recollection that are stronger than the feed in our social media. So attention now is central spiritual struggle. Ask new question: what trains my envy, speed, and self-display, and reactive speech? Digital habits belong to the moral field. And through muhasabah, hopefully we can retain our selfhood. Rebuild authority, balancing online access with embodied scholarship, with companionship, with teachers, living in communities of counsel, with our peers, with our friends, with our colleagues, with our teachers. That's need to be to rebuild our authority instead of only relying on algorithmic sources. Yeah. recover sincerity, cultivate openness, pursue justice. Resist any temptation to turn faith into performance for a visible audience. Seek truthfulness before God, not on display for others. So this is self-help culture, not productivity, it's discipline, cultivation of attention, intention, memory, and conduct before God. Yeah, hopefully in the future studies, this is a new, I think, new area that we can explore more through research. The idea of the topics of new subjectivity, how the self is historically constituted through practices, especially practices that is shaped by digital algorithm. It's also new field in Islamic ethics, how Muslim selfhood can be studied through indigenous practices, like from hasabah, dhikr, tawakkul, sincerity, companionship, right? So algorithmic conditions should be read not only as governance by data, but also struggle over formation of moral attention. So in the end, Islamic technology of the self can be described as the disciplined cultivation of attention, of intention, of memory, desire, and companionship, so that Muslim subject is formed before God rather than merely by platforms, metrics, or predictive systems in this algorithmic era. The challenge for us right now is to recover practices that make Muslims not merely visible in the digital world, but also more truthful, more attentive, and more just. So that's all for now, Mbak Solawati. Hopefully, we can grasp some points and beneficial for all of us. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Shifa Amin Widikdo, for that deeply insightful presentation. Your discussion has illuminated how the concept of the self within the Islamic intellectual tradition can be reinterpreted in response to the complexities of the algorithmic era. Building upon this philosophical foundation, we now turn to a more specific informative context, early childhood, where the influence of digital environments begin to shape cognition and development. Ladies and gentlemen, now we are moving to the second speaker. Let me introduce you to Associate Professor Kartini R. Tahir Amilasan, PhD. She currently serves as the head of the Office of Future Studies and Foresight, and also as the chairperson of the Department of Early Childhood and Elementary Education at Mindanao State University Tawi-Tawi College of Technology and Oceanography, Philippines. Professor Kartini is a distinguished scholar whose work focuses on early childhood education, future studies, and the impact of emerging technologies on learning and development. Her research offers valuable insight into how digital environments shape the cognitive, social, and emotional growth of young children. In this occasion, she will present her paper entitled Early Childhood in the Age of Algorithms, Understanding Social Media's Influence on Young Minds. These presentations invite us to reflect on how algorithmic systems are increasingly influencing early childhood development in profound and often subtle ways. Professor Kartini, you also have 40 minutes and you can start whenever you're ready. Professor Kartini, are you in?
We can hear your voice, Miss. It's so hard to get well signal there.
I'm sorry, Professor. We can't hear you. Professor Kartini says that she was difficult to get a best network in in Tawi-Tawi, so maybe have some trouble in there. Professor, we still don't hear your voice again. Yeah, you can raise the volume. We already hear your voice.
Am I audible now? I'm using different devices.
Okay.
Nice.
Ma- Yeah, it's hello everyone to our audience who are more than 100 who are online. First of all, assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Am I audible? Is my audio okay now?
Yes, ma'am.
Alhamdulillah. So I am in Tawi-Tawi, and I believe Ibu Fitri has understanding how it is to have an internet in a
Yes,
remote province of the
yes, I know
Philippines.
that means.
Yeah, and I have seen some of the students from my university are attending this online conference, and we are finding our ways how to get connected to the world. Before I proceed, I'd like to thank the Department of Islamic Psychological Education for this invitation, and it's really an honor to talk about something that I am very passionate about, which is about childhood development. And only like into 2020, I have completed my PhD in UMI. Actually, my research is about childhood development from Islamic perspective. So the topic that is assigned to me is really relevant and very interesting. This title, Early Childhood in the Age of Algorithms, Understanding Social Media's Influence on Young Minds, is actually assigned to me. It's not yet my full paper, but upon doing the research, I find it very interesting to investigate more how does the technology and algorithms influence the development of children, especially for Muslim children. So just to give you a little bit of background, my name is Kartini. I think Dr. Akib noticed that my name is very Indonesian. Yes, I was named after the national
Good.
hero of Indonesia, Kartini. My father is a history teacher, and he read about Kartini and he named me after her. So luckily, I was given a chance to study in Indonesia from 2013 to 2020. And currently, I am serving now as the chairperson of the Department of Early Childhood and Elementary Education at the College of Education here in Mindanao State University, Tawi-Tawi, College of Technology and Oceanography. So we are located in Tawi-Tawi, the southernmost province of the Philippines, and we are very near to Sabah, Malaysia. And more than anything, I am a mother. am a linear mother. I have three girls. They are ages 2, 5, and 6. So this topic assigned to me is really something I can relate to because I'm raising my children not only with the caregiver, but I identify that technology is also helping me in nurturing my children. So this topic fuels my curiosity as a mother and as a researcher in early childhood. So the presentation that I'm going to share with you today is emanating from different from several articles that I have read this past few days, which is related to algorithms, technology, and how it shaped the early childhood development. Okay, um, Bupitri, please let's move to the next slide. I'm sorry I cannot share my slide from my device because the internet is very slow. Okay, can we move to the next slide? Uh, Ayan. So before we discuss the specific research on how algorithm influence the development of a child, let's highlight why is it important for us to understand the influence of algorithms on early childhood development. So the influence of algorithms on early childhood is essential because this refers to the children who are ages from 0 to 8, and it is considered the most formative years. So it's a critical period for their brain and identity development. So anything that that they experience during the early childhood stage will form as a foundation for their later development. So in today, algorithm-driven platforms shape children's attention, behavior, and values, and most of the time without guidance, especially for parents who are busy. Sometimes we just let our children play with the gadgets and do our thing, and most of the time we don't have opportunity or time to supervise what they are seeing in the gadgets they are using. So recognizing this influence allows us as a parents or as an educator to intentionally support her healthy, resilient, and value-centered development. So from the perspective of Islamic psychology, it is very important for us to understand this because it highlights how the technology shaped the growth and development of young Muslims. And there is a need to protect the child, especially the concept of fitran. And during this critical period, such awareness will help us fulfill our amana because when we are entrusted with children or learners under our care, we consider that as an amana for us. So we have to take care of them. How to take care of them is to teach them or to care for them intentionally by guiding them towards fit, peace, and resilient development. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. May I proceed to next slide? Yeah. So technology now is an integral part of children's lives, right? Um, so it's significantly changed the way we live these days. I don't know most of you, but for me, I was born in late 80s and towards 90s. It was my childhood days. Back then, there was no like use of technology in my community, but right now, I'm raising my kids surrounded by technologies. We have TV, we have internet, we have tablets and cell phones. So this growing use of technology somehow really, I mean, drastically changed the way we live. So accordingly, there are increasing number of social media users all over the globe, from over 1 billion in 2012 to almost 5 billion users in 2022. So today's children are often described as digital native. So digital natives means that it is a term used by Mark Prensky in 2001 which describe that children today are born with technology. When they came to this world, the present of technology are already there. So they are the native, digital natives. And for us who are not yet born with the technology, there is like we call ourselves digital migrants, or yeah, something that we still learning how to use. And the way they nurtured, it's very different, right? So it's different from how the earlier generation were raised. So with technology, it offers a lot of disadvantages. We cannot deny that. It makes our life very easier. Information are just at the tip of the finger, at the available at the fingertips, and of course, it connects people around the globe. But it also poses a lot of challenges and risks when it comes to children's growth and development. There is an increasing concern that when there is an unsupervised exposure to inappropriate social media content, it may negatively affect children's development, particularly their mental health. So there is also serious report concerning the use of gadgets for children. Example, in the USA, it is reported that there is drastic increase of mental health issues, especially for children. And I have watched a video in the news saying that few years back, the cases of mental health issues catered by the doctor before, it was like 30 patients per month. But currently, they are catering up to 30 cases per day, and that is very alarming. So when you look at the data that I have gathered from the Common Sense media, which they have surveyed children in the US, children are really exposed to technology more than what is recommended hours. Do you know how long is the children are recommended to use screen time? According to UNICEF, the healthy exposure time of exposure is only less than an hour for like when you do video calling or when you watch educational videos. But more than that, it's really like not healthy for the young children. Okay, so this one is going back to the rationale about children, we have emphasized that their brain is very absorptive, and the plasticity is there. So whatever they are exposed to, they are going to absorb it. And that is something that we really have to think about when we expose children to technology. Okay. So you see that there's an increased number of screen exposure for children who are 5 to 8 years old. So let's look into the advantages and disadvantages of using technology, specifically for generative AI. So I believe that everyone is familiar with the artificial intelligence. And I think it was only like last year that I actively use artificial intelligence in my work, which have helped me make some tasks easier, like communication, like arranging some information. So as a mother, I have also observed my children using AI because they have a case, so a specific application that they have used. They are talking with an AI in through their mobile phone. It's like they are naturally interacting. My daughter would tell something, and the phone answer back, like they really understand what the children is talking. So it is a generative AI that most of the children who are using technology are exposed to. So generative AI is a subset of AI that uses machine learning to discover patterns, structure from training data, and then generate new data that have similar characteristics. So this is particularly true to this is what we are talking about when it comes to algorithms. They gather our data, and then the technology comes to understand us, knows our what we prepare, what we like, what we dislike, and the technology would present us that something that is aligned with our personality, with our interests. So that is also true to all AIs used by the children. So this is from the UNICEF. According to them, and I think most of us would agree, there are advantages of using it, right? The first is it supports personalized learning experiences. Okay, because we know that every individual child is different; they are not similar. That's why we are advocating for differentiated instruction, because children learns at different rate, learns the different patterns. So there is a need even in the classroom to personalize learning experiences. So this AI would design interaction with a technology that is aligned with their personal with their what the children prepare to do or what they would like to learn. Another advantages is that it enhances children's play and creativity. So we know that in today's classroom we use gamified teaching strategy where we use technology. It would really engage children, especially children whom we considered as digital native. So it will enhance the learning and creativity. Another one is it improves accessibility for diverse learners. So generative AI would caters different types of learners. For example, children who are physically disabled, they could just interact with technology while maximizing their learning engagement, like through using phones, tablets. And it's also reach out to diverse learners because AI would be able to translate languages to that would children understand. And another one is since AI is collecting data, it would help us to understand what is really the example medical condition or developmental condition of a children. And it is very helpful to inform the adult, the teachers, or the parents about their children. When we have like complete information about children based on the interaction they have with an AI, we will able to understand them, what are their interests, what are their developmental milestones. So those are the advantages that has been identified by the UNICEF. But let's come to the disadvantages, which I think have been really highlighted in most of the researchers these days. Uh, when compared to disadvantages is much more highlighted for children. And it's not easily like to put it in bullet point. In UNICEF, they have extensively discussed how disadvantage is technology for the development of children, especially for early childhood. When we talk of early childhood, this pertains to 0 to 8 years old, the formative years. Okay, so the disadvantage of using generative AI is it's enable pervasive disinformation. When children are presented with wrong information and without the guidance of the adult, they really tend to believe it. And that would negatively influence or affect children's development. And using AI is really compromising their privacy. No, even not only the names or the image, but as well as their voices. When you recorded your when you talk with the computer or with the cell phone, the AI would record your voice, your tone, so it could be easily copied by other third party, and that is very dangerous. So another one is it shapes children's behavior intentionally and unintentionally. So sometimes there are some instances that using AI would encourage violent behavior, like uh, like validating bad emotions, or if children cannot express their emotions, the AI would validate their emotion, and that is very dangerous. Okay, because children are still learning how to manage their emotion. When they are experiencing something, they go
Mamanya.
to to AI to share what they have gone through, I think that is very dangerous for them instead of going to their parents. And just to share, this happens to me personally. I don't know if you're familiar with CC. I don't know if some of the parents here are CC, or I think her name right now is Dola. So one time my daughter was using that one because sometimes I let her talk with Dola because there are topics that she asked I could not answer. So like for example about the sciences, like why people fart, things like that, or why people cry. So just to give her a scientific basis of explanation, sometimes I give her the point. You can ask Dola. So unintendedly, one time my daughter, I caught her talking to Dola, not out of curiosity, but sharing her feelings about something that I promised her, which I did not fulfill. She said that my mom said that she will buy me this, and she did not buy me this. So and the Dola said, I understand your feeling. So, so they gain friendship with the technology. So instead of like getting information, they get intimate um, connection with the technology. And I think it really shocked me as a parent. So this is very dangerous. I think as a parents, they should, or we should be the first one they could think of when they are going through something. It should not be technology. uh, I think we should do more as a parents. Okay? So this technology, these disadvantages really shape how children behave these days. And lastly is AI, or the use of technology is aggravate existing social and digital inequalities. Like for example, if you are if a children is from the rich family, or from the community that is equipped with technology, they are on the advantage side. But if the children grow up in a poor community, or in rural community, that would not it would be disadvantage for them. Okay. For example, in one of the studies, children who are growing up in a disadvantaged socioeconomic condition would tend to spend more watching TVs, because that is how they would entertain themselves by watching TV. So they spend more time with the TV. But unlike those who are growing up in advantage socioeconomic condition, children have more activities, or more materials that they could interact with aside from the gadgets. So the social divide is somehow, in when it comes to technology, it highlights the social divides among in a society. There is also one situation wherein uh, children grow up in a community where there is no technology, and they go out to the cities and immerse themselves. They find themselves lost because from the beginning they were not exposed to technology. So that is one of the disadvantage for children who are not um, well oriented about the use of technology. So when they go out to the cities, it will be very hard for them to adjust. Yeah. So those are the cited advantages and disadvantages of using generative AI according to UNICEF. May I proceed to the next slide, please? Next slide. Okay. So these are the studies that I have read a few days ago about screen time and the child development. Okay. And so upon reading, I think 5 or 7 articles related to this, it really convinced me not to really expose my children to internet to technology, because the disadvantage is much more heavy than advantages. Okay? So, like for example, the research conducted in 2018, 18, it shows that the increased screen time is associated with negative developmental outcomes in children. So when you have greater daily screen use, it linked to lower psychological well-being. And for children, it reduced their curiosity and self-control, increased distractibility. They have difficulty making friends. They have lower emotional stability, and it's hard for them to complete tasks which are assigned for them. So when you look at the children who are using technology right now, especially when they are glued in their phone watching videos, so they just easily what's this scroll something. If they don't want the video, they can just change it easily. So that would cause their mental health issues because children have very short attention span, and if it is not regulated, if it is not practiced to focus on certain things, it would like tolerate their concentration. And that would be very sad for young generation these days who are very exposed to technology. So really, all the negative psychological being are cited here. So I think as a parents or as a teacher in early childhood, we should think twice ex, uh, before we give exposure to children in using technology. Another study conducted by Gomez just this year. This is related to preschool children. It has also been associated with multiple adverse outcomes across developmental, psychological, physical, educational, and relational domains. So, all developmental domains are affected when children use technology, especially when it is unsupervised. And this includes language delays, cognitive deficits, emotional dysregulation, increased risk of obesity, and weakened parent-child interaction. So this is very true. You know, as a mother, I often bring my child to a pediatrician for some checkup. And the doctor said to me that these days there are lots of complaints by parents saying that their children are having speech delay. And it is identified that the main reason for the speech delay of children these days because of technology. Because technology would not allow them to interact in real life. They just focus on the gadgets, and that would affect their ability to develop language or literacy. So another one is the relationship between children and the people around them. So using technology would not allow them to interact. So that would really weaken the relationship between parents and children. So another research is that psychological impact of algorithms suggests that instead of strengthening, especially the social media, instead of strengthening the social relationship, it really affects how people relate to one another. Because when we use social media, it gives other people a window to our lives. So when we want most of the teenager in this research says that they want to perceive as someone who is doing good, someone is like on trends. But once they missed out, it really affects their mental health. No? Sometimes it leads to depression, especially for adolescents. So social media platforms can have profound and often unintended psychological effects on individual. Okay. So next slide, please. So another finding is association between screen use and children language skills suggests that the greater quantity of screen, the duration of children use the screen, not necessarily like using the cell phone, but also sometimes at home we just turn on the TV and nobody watches it. That's also the background television is associated with lower language skills. No? Where the better quality of screen exposure in older children, like for example, educational and viewing appears to be beneficial for child language. However, it remains that screens should continue to be used in moderation. So, in this research, it said that when there is a long time exposure of children to screen, or they are there in the same room with TV, even if they are not watching it, it really affects their language skill. And according in this research, it was found out that when children are watching with adults, like with their parents, or they are watching videos in the classroom that is supervised by their teacher, somehow it is beneficial for them, especially on the aspect of language development. So the screen should be continue to be used in moderation. And in the Philippines, there is a study examining the effect of screen time on child development. You know what? They found out when the parents are engaged in the screen time, like watching TV or using phone, the children tend to have like a more long time exposure to screen also. So when the children see their parents watching TV or using phone, they tend to copy that, and they tend to spend more time with their gadgets. So really, parents is very influential in the lives of their children. Okay, so even more so if the children is alone, they will spend more time watching gadgets. But when you compare it to co-viewing with parents or fields, they will not tend to watch. They will tend to spend health uh, enough time watching something in the gadgets that is beneficial for them. So, according to this research, more than 2 hours of daily screen time is associated with decreased receptive and expressive language scores. So, you see, um, most of this research cited that the effect of the technology is more on the language, no? Language development. Especially in this research specifically said, when there is more time children spent on screen time, it will decrease the receptive and expressive language, the way they understand the words they hear, and the way they express themselves. It will be very hard for them to develop it if they are really immersed in technology for a long period of time. So negative effects on personal skills, interpersonal relationships, and play and leisure skills became statistically significant at 4 to 5 or more hours of screen time. So really, again, the healthy duration of times that would children spend in interacting with the gadget should be less than 1 hour, especially for early childhood. But in reality, most of the children these days spend more than that recommended time. So it really affects their development. May I proceed to the next slide, please? Yeah. So, what we should do? How do we regulate the use of technology for young children? So, I look up into the UNICEF website, and they have policy guidelines on AI and children, and they put up 10 requirements for child-centered AI, and this is drawing from the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Okay? This is very relevant guidelines for us, especially for the teachers, for the parents, or for the industry who are trying to develop technology for young children. So there are 10 that first is ensure regulatory framework, oversight, and compliance for child-centered AI. So they are required when you develop AI application, it should follow this one. No? It should for the best interest of children. And number two is ensure safety for children. Number three, protect children's data and privacy, which is very important because when we share data, it's very risky because there are a lot of predators online. And four is ensure non-discrimination and fairness for children. So when we develop application, make sure that it is very inclusive and fair for our children. And you know what? I have read in my research that says in some instances using AI is disadvantage for some group of people. For example, there was an examination conducted And then they found out that, people of colors are tend to be tagged as prone to cheat during exam, unlike their white counterparts. So something that is not sitting right for us as an educator. So the AI developer should ensure that non-discrimination be there as part of the development of AI for children. And then also, they need to provide transparency, explainability, and accountability for children. And they have to respect human and child's right to responsible AI practice, support children's best interest, development, and well being, ensure inclusion and for children, prepare and skills children for present and future developments in AI, and create an enabling environment for child centered AI. So these are the things that we should look at, we should refer to when we are thinking of developing AI application or AI, when we use AI application in our teaching or AI program, especially for educators and the parents. Okay, let me proceed to the next slide, please. This one. So another useful tool that we could use to guide us how to use technology for young children. They also develop the World Economic Forum's AI for Children Toolkit provides advice to tech companies and parents. So there are certain aspects that we look into when children are interacting with AI. For example, like age. Is it age appropriate? Is it sensitive to the interest or to the ability of children to use the technology, and of course the data use, if they have gathered the data, where are they going to use it? Is it for the benefit of the children or for the benefit of industry? And accessibility, how accessible is the application or AI? And networks, in the networks, if they are obtaining the data, who are they sharing with? And then the AI use, how depth is the AI use when it is interacting with with children? And now what really got my attention is the sensors. No, the sensors says here that it pertains to the camera, to the audio that they are using, and from there they are gathering the data. And with the data, they were now able to identify, to understand the children, and it could, if it is not used responsibly, it could use to manipulate young minds, and I think that is very dangerous. So these sensors would feed the algorithms where children interact with the technology. So there are also in these guidelines, artificial intelligence for children. There are guidelines that we can check when we are using or when we are buying technology, especially when it comes to AI for children. We have to ask if it is fair, inclusive, responsible, safe, and transparent. So the documents that I have shared in the previous slide and in this one are downloadable online. So if you like, you may download it, especially if you are practicing early childhood. Yeah, if you are practicing in the field as early childhood educator. So, but the advantages in generative AI means existing policies must be interpreted in novel context. So, although the existing policies are there for us to use, or and it's very accessible, there's still need for us to contextualize it based on our needs. For example, these guidelines, how it would be applied here in our context, like in Tawi-Tawi. Although we have internet, but we're still struggling with the connection. Uh, and then not all the provinces have access to internet. And if some communities have access to internet, how would the guidelines apply to them? So as an educator, or as a researcher scholar, I think we need to think about that, how to contextualize the existing guidelines for the use of AI for children. Okay, now may I proceed to the next slide? Am I still do I still have time?
Yes, you still have
Oh.
about 5 minutes.
Oh, 5 minutes, sorry. So this one is just a quick recap of what have been countries doing the use of social media or technology. And we know that some countries are banning the use of social media. So the aim of banning social media is to reduce the pressure and risk that young users may face on social media, include cyberbullying, addiction, mental health issues, and exposure. So some of the countries identified these serious implications of using social media. For example, the first country that banned social media users under age of 16 is Australia. They announced it in December 2025. And then the Denmark will also follow. They banned the use of social media under age 15. And also the France, they are passing the bill to ban social media, and also Germany, Greece, and recently Indonesia. Right? You have started banning social media for children under age 16, starting last month. Yeah. And then the Malaysia also planned to implement the same policy, not to for children under 16. Slovenia also, they dropped legislation for that. Spain, they are waiting for approval to ban social media for children under 16, and the UK to follow. So those are the countries that are not taking seriously the effect of social media for their future, for their young citizens. Okay, I hope the Philippines will follow. Okay, next. Okay, so this one is something that I am pondering about. What are the implications of these algorithms on childhood development when it comes to Islamic psychology? So since the concept of child development is that all children are born in the state of fitra, there is a need for us to protect the natural disposition of children. So algorithm driven content is really has an influential way in shaping children's belief and behavior, something that we have to take into consideration. Second is the intellect and thinking, because using technology is very fast paced, and sometimes they use it passively. They just swipe without doing anything, and that really has a negative effect on their mental health. And then we can also think, because of high stimulation through the use of technology, it might affect the purification of the self. No? I have learned a lot on the previous presentation about self identity. So there's a need for us to regulate the use of social media so that it will not affect the purification of the self. And of course, the identity formation. No? Sometimes people these days will just look into their ideal model from the social media, rather than developing their self or faith. And then next is very important is that given this scenario, technology and child development, as an adult, as a parents, as a educators or duty bearers, we have that responsibility to take over young generation, and that is our amana. We have to think how we should nurture or children these days with the presence of technology. And at the end of the day, we need to achieve the balance development for young children. Not necessarily like ignoring the technology. We cannot ignore it. It's here. How do we how do we achieve balanced development for the technology in terms of child development? Okay. So in closing, I think the challenge is not really the technology, but how do we ensure that children's grow with strong faith, guided by guided by akal and balanced development in the era of algorithm driven world. So this presentation has been very is an eye opening for me. Inshallah, those who are interested to collaborate with me on the same topic, you may contact me so that we can maybe develop a research that is aligned with Islamic psychology and that would be helpful for young Muslim generations. So I think that's all my presentation. Thank you very much.
Not so good, right?
So good. Yes.
Thank you so much, Professor Kartini, for your valuable and thought-provoking insight. Your presentation has highlighted how digital technology increasingly influence the developmental processes of young minds, particularly in shaping cognitive, emotional, and social dimensions. Extending this discussion further, we now move into the critical stage of adolescence, where the impact of digital environments becomes even more complex and closely linked to mental health and psychological resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce our third speaker, Professor Madya Dr. Nasruddin Subahi, an associate professor at the Center for Research in Psychology and Human Well-being, Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, University Kebangsaan Malaysia. He obtained his PhD from the University of Queensland, Australia, where his research explored interpersonal conflict through a resilience perspective, an area that continues to inform his scholarly contributions today. Professor Nasruddin is also a registered counselor under the Board of Counselor Malaysia, with over 2 decades of professional experience in counseling, teaching, and academic supervision. He currently serves as the head of the Center for Youth Empowerment at University Kebangsaan Malaysia, where he leads initiatives focused on adolescent development and well-being. His research spanned across counseling, psychology, youth empowerment, and vulnerable population, reflecting a strong commitment to interdisciplinary and socially impactful scholarship. Today, he's going to talk about digital algorithms and adolescents' mental health, psychological challenges in the social media era. This presentation will provide important insight how to digital environments shape mental health and psychological resilience among adolescents. Professor Nasruddin, you also have 40 minutes and the screen is yours.
All right, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank you, MY, for the opportunity. And secondly, I would like to apologize if there's a background sound because I'm actually outside due to my hectic schedule for today. I cannot be at home or in my office to take up this talk. All right. So, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Let me share my slides. Okay, today I'll be talking about digital algorithm and adolescents' mental health, psychological challenges in the era of social media era, right? So as the opening question, I would like to ask, how many hours do you spend on social media daily? Probably some of you could sort of put the answer in the chat. I would reckon probably it's more than 5 hours in a day.
Pardon me, Pak Nas, can you share your PowerPoint?
Oh, I've already shared. Can't you see? No? Oh, sorry. All right, so sorry. I forgot. Now you can see, right? All right.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you.
Okay. Okay. I did sort of ask how many hours you spend on a daily basis on social media. So I'm assuming that all of us spend a whole lot of time on social media nowadays, probably more than 5 hours in a day, right? Intermittently. So this is what is happening at the current situation, all right? So why is this matters, right? So it matters because Adolescence is highly exposed, all right? And as we know, adolescence is in the phase of growing up. So they are more likely to be influenced of whatever negative that is being shared in the internet, all right? Secondly, is because of algorithm shaped content, all right? So this is because usually, what we watch, the algorithm could sort of detect, and the next time we're online, so it will sort of try to recommend us to what we have just watched previously. All right.
Excuse me,
So
Professor.
yeah,
Your screen is paused.
my screen is paused.
Yes.
Sorry. Hold on. You can see, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, going back to the slides, and thirdly, mental health implications, right? So this is very important because the screen time that we take every day could sort of lead to mental health implication. For instance, it could lead towards addiction to gadgets, right? Particularly with kids and also adolescents, right? And now we commonly hear on the issue of kids and also adolescents being addicted to video games, right? Or online video games, right? Uh, all right. So in terms of the learning objectives for today's talk, it would be trying to understand algorithm, identifying psychological effects, and also looking into how to apply Islamic perspective into the discussion, right? All right. So what is an algorithm, right? So it is actually a system deciding on what you see, when, and how often you see it. All right. And as I said previously, uh, if we watch certain reels or certain video in the internet, particularly on our handphone, it would sort of detect our preference, and those preference would be sort of uh, being enticed for later viewing, all right? So whenever we log on to our devices, the our likings will definitely be popped up, and sometimes without knowing, uh, even what we talk, our handphones could sort of detect uh, the information, and then it sort of uh, make an algorithm out of it, right? So yeah, this is what I've discussed just now. All right, so the key idea here is the content that you choose. All right, so we need to be very assertive, and being assertive in today's digital world is definitely not easy. All right, in fact, as adults also have difficulties, and what else as compared to adolescents, right? So in terms of algorithm goals, it maximizes attention, all right? So it wants us to stay on to the material or to the uh, 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 to whatever that we're seeing, all right? So every time we log on into one video, the algorithm will detect what sort of video that we are watching, and then it will definitely suggest or provide us with similar videos to watch, right? So that our time would be maximized on the device itself. Secondly, it increased engagement, right? So yeah, so when we're logging, sometimes it's not just watching. Sometimes we also participate in whatever activities. For instance, we could in fact be engaged in online shopping simultaneously, all right? And then we keep on scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and usually we'll sort of lose track of time. Okay. And yeah, sometimes I myself get caught up with this, all right, particularly when I'm trying, well, when I do have my time off. And then initially I wanted to sort of scroll for about an hour, but usually it's sort of exceeded to 1.5 or probably 2 hours, right? So here you see what aligns with your behavior, all right? So as I said just now earlier on, in a way, the algorithm is intelligent enough to learn of our behavior and detect that so that it would be able to provide or entice us with other related materials, right? And in terms of the adolescents and also their brain, so adolescence is the phase whereby the brain is still developing, the body is still developing, and until it reaches maturity, right? So maturity is at a different level, right? So basically, our biological maturity is quite advanced nowadays. So, for instance, the girl would sort of reach menses at the age of 10 or even 9, right? Whereas 20 years ago, sometimes people get into menses at the age of 12 or even 15, all right? But our social maturity definitely not there yet. So in terms of social maturity, it only happens at the age of around 18 to 20 years old. All right. So this is where identity is being developed during adolescence. All right. So that means who the person mingles with is very, very important, right? So, and usually adolescents also have the problem of trying to regulate their emotions in a positive way, because most of the time they feel that others would not able to understand what they are feeling. Probably this is because of parental upbringing, because as we know, there's the different kinds of upbringing. So for instance, if the parents is a pessimist, then definitely they do not bother what their children are doing or even thinking. So thus the adolescents would have difficulty in trying to regulate their emotions, right? Okay, so going to the point of trying to understand the dopamine loop. All right. So usually in today's world, some of us would sort of try to get as many likes, because sometimes with the likes we get reward. Sometimes it's a material sort of reward, and sometimes it's just the emotional or psychological reward. And with that reward, we tend to repeat our behavior. So if we look at the cycle on the right, if you feel upset or if you feel down, probably the first thing that you do is that you will look at your phone, all right? And nowadays, phone is regarded as a necessity rather than something which is well, all right. So and then when you look at your handphone, definitely the dopamine would be increased in your body, and with that you will feel happy. And later on, you put down the phone, and then the dopamine sort of decreases, and the cycles keep on recurring again and again. Okay. All right. In terms of mental health risks, there's the issue of anxiety. Okay, so anxiety has becoming more and more prevalent in times. All right. So we heard more people talking that they are anxious or indicating that they are anxious. And I guess in the fast pace of today's world, everyone has an increased anxiety in their day-to-day life. So again, it goes back to how are you able to regulate your emotions, your thinking, so that you would not easily get anxious, all right? Definitely when you're anxious and you're stressed, it would lead towards depression. And of course, if you're in depression, then you would sort of be in trouble if you sort of did not realize in the first place that you're depressed, and then it will get worse, and up to the stage probably you'd be needed to be referred to a psychiatrist, all right? You would sort of need to take on medications, all right? And there's also the fact that addictive patterns would appear if you are unable to restrain yourself from the internet, all right? This is where the cases sometimes you would sort of read people die because of they could not stop gaming in the internet, all right? Yeah, and these cases are real, all right? Okay, talking about social comparison, all right. This is very, very much an issue because we tend to put unrealistic standard on ourselves, right? As you can see in the picture on the right-hand side, usually we would sort of tend to view or see what other posted in their internet. All right. So what your friend posts in the internet, and usually our friends would sort of be selective in the sense of they would put up nice things, beautiful things. All right. So when they go to a cafe, then they would take selfie, eating or drinking or spending some time in a nice cafe. And for instance, if they got some presents with from friends or from their loved ones, so that they would sort of post up the gifts or the present on their social media and with enticing caption, so that whenever we take a look, sometimes we sort of feel jealous about others. All right, so we want to be in that position, but at the same time, we're unable to do that. Right, so this is actually the unrealistic standard that society has put up uh, in today's world. All right. So, of course, if you are an adolescent, you would be easily get caught up with this social comparison thing, and you would definitely be quite easily get affected in terms of your psychological well-being, right? Okay, so with that, sometimes our identity sort of differs between online and also our real selves. So as you can see in the picture on the right-hand side, the guy is having a great time, an exhilarating time, very happy on the left-hand side, whereby yes, realistically, he is actually feeling quite down. What at what in terms of his condition, right? So the phenomena that is actually occurring. All right. So this is something which we need to try to overcome, and we need to try to educate our young ones, especially, right? All right. So now, the term FOMO, fear of missing out. All right. So this term is just quite a recent term, actually, just a few years back. Particularly, I only heard of FOMO post-pandemic. All right. So before this, no one knows about FOMO, and for instance, the term was not even created yet. But now it is something that people talk about. All right. So in terms of FOMO, statistically, it is said that 5.4% of people spend more than 10 hours online every day, right? So that is 10 hours for 5.4%, right? So that's quite a lot of people indeed, right? And that FOMO is more prevalent among people between the age of 16 to 24, right? So these are the age whereby you are at the moment, I believe, right? So for me, I don't care even less, all right? So I could still sort of restrain myself and not to be uh, enticed with things, with unnecessary things, right? Okay. And it is being said that North American, Middle Eastern, and also African are more likely to have FOMO, right? I'm not sure about Indonesian or even Filipinos. Well, in regards to Malaysia, the issue is something which is legit. I just had I'm teaching one of my classes are actually master students in counseling. So last Wednesday I had my class, and then a student of mine sort of mentioned about there's actually what we call there's actually a small entrepreneur fair is being held at one part of the university. So, and apparently, there is this one brand of soft cookie. They open up a stall there. I did not catch up with the name of the brand, but it is something which is recent, current, new, and it just gone viral. So they sell the soft cookie at a price of 8 ringgit per piece. All right. So that is the minimum price or the minimum rate. Right. So, and I asked her, well, did you sort of bought it yourself? And she said that, yes, I did. Apparently, I'm a bit formal to doctors. So, yeah, so that's it, right? So, this is what is happening, right? So, formal it is said to be more common among pop culture enthusiasts and other social media users, right? So, in terms of the common sign of formal, uh, meaning that excessively using the social media, you're always socializing, the urge to have the urge to intimate everything seen online, all right? Yeah, and then worrying of missing out when others happen. So there are some of the common signs of right. All right. So in terms of cyber validation, all right. So self-worth is said being tied to likes, all right? So I also did have an ex-student of mine, all right? So every day he would sort of uh, make a selfie and post it in Facebook. All right. So I guess it is the sort of self work that he sees, and apparently, probably he craves the likes. Okay. So this is something which is quite dangerous if it's being prolonged, right? Okay, so with all this, the individual could also become emotional overload or could experience emotional flooding. So, as this is because of too much content exposure, all right? So, as you can see there in the picture, uh, the girl would sort of get easily anxious, uh, palpitation, the heartbeat increases, right? And difficulty in focusing, right? So these are the things which a person is experiencing if the person is at the stage of emotional overload, right? Okay, in terms of the uh, algorithm psychology, all right. So as said, it can reinforce behavior, right? Because it sort of detects what is being watched or what is being seen online, and with that, the person would sort of reinforce whatever behavior that is being uh, conducted in the first place, and it eventually can be able to shape identity, all right? Because of the repeated behavior, right? Okay, so algorithm is something which is designed, right? So it is not on a neutral basis, right? So it is actually the AI is actually learning from what we feed them, right? So that is why, for instance, like I believe that most of you are currently using ChatGPT, right? So whether you realize it or not, all right. So ChatGPT now is more or is cleverer than it was used to be like a year ago or 2 years ago. All right. Uh, so yeah, so up to the stage whereby ChatGPT could sort of try to understand our emotions. All right. So I had a friend who lost her mother a few years ago, and during that time, he was kind of felt lost at times. And what he did was that he chatted with ChatGPT. And then later on, he shared his experience with me. And apparently, he said that about 90% of the responses replied by ChatGPT is actually correct. All right. So that is how uh, clever the AI is, and every time we feed them with new information, it will become cleverer and cleverer, right? Okay, now going on to the Islamic perspective, I guess in Islam we are being taught to balance and have self-control, right? So uh, in Islam, moderate is very much encouraged, all right? So modesty, right? So yeah, but this has to be linked to a good self-control, all right? So if you are not able to control yourself, probably you would not be able to have that balance in the first place, okay? And a bit about Nop's concept, all right? I believe that all of you would sort of know this and understand this, but this is again true, all right? So it relates to our psychological well-being and also our emotional well-being, right? So I guess if we are if our religion is actually Islam, Islam did sort of give a few tips in regards to how to regulate our emotions or to regulate our anger, right? So, for instance, taking wudu or even as in doing our salah, right? So that our nerves will be able to reduce from the amara, right? And to be more stable, okay? All right, so in terms of digital ethics, what we consume and share really matters, right? So this is very, very important, all right? So we actually need to be responsible in regards to what we view, what we see, and later on what we share, because sometimes we tend to we want to share what we see to others, right? Because we are living in a society whereby we want to be, it's, what do we call that? I forgot about the terminology. Well, we want to be liked, we want to be acknowledged by others, right? So sometimes we, in order for us to do that, we we share things, right? But it is very, very important nowadays to sort of verify first what you share, right? For instance, like in Malaysia, there's a slogan says that tidak pasti jangan kongsi. So meaning that if you are unsure, don't share, right? So this is very important, right? Because sometimes the message can be false, it can be misleading, all right? So if you're unsure about the content, it is better not for you to share, right? So this is part and parcel of ethics, all right? All right, so building digital resilience, okay? Resilience is very, very important, all right? And nowadays in the digital world, we need to build digital resilience. So what is actually digital resilience, all right? So here some of the strategies for you. You need to have a digital self-awareness, right? So you need to be self-aware of, again, the content that is being shared in the internet or the website that you go to, because there's lots and lots and lots of positive as well as negative website, right? So try not to get yourself engaged with the negative one, all right? I'm not sure how the rules and restriction of the government in Indonesia due to certain internet website, but particularly for us in Malaysia, we are quite open, I would say. So if you fill up something, definitely you would get it. All right. So I believe that even in China, they are more strict in terms of access of internet as compared to Malaysia, right? So here again, going back to digital awareness, and then you have to be mindful in terms of the media consumption, all right? Try to pick up on something that is positive, that is beneficial for yourself, rather than sort of harm you later on. Guys, you need to have those critical thinking, right? This is something which is not easy, particularly if you are not raised first and foremost by your parents. All right. Nowadays, there's the trend of usually in terms of parenting style, we learn the four, right? Basic parenting style, which is authoritarian, authoritative, pessimist, and also the other one is what? Oh my God, I forgot. But the fifth one, which is actually in some country, it is being said as the prince and princess syndrome, right? So meaning that the parents are being overly involved in the kid's life, right? Everything is being provided, right? So this is again, if this happens, probably the child would not having or develop critical thinking, right? And spiritual grounding is also very, very important. And for us in an Islamic country, I believe we really need to go back to our religion and try to embrace our religion and practice it as best as possible, because definitely through religion, it will sort of help us in trying to get a proper grounding, right? And then real life interaction, right? So try to have real friends rather than virtual friends, right? So real friends actually really matters, right? So I have I've heard one of my students saying that, oh, when he was in the hospital, and then he wanted to eat something, or he craved something, and definitely it was difficult for him to get because he was in the ward. So he posted a request in WhatsApp, but none of his friends sort of pick up on his response, all right, or his message, all right. But a few minutes later, a friend sort of asked in the group whether any one of them wanted to go and wanted to go to a cinema to view a current show. So, and then the response was overwhelming. So, through that experience, he says that he really understands the meaning of true friendship, right? Okay, so the 3 habits of digital resilience. So here you just need to pause a bit, all right? Probably taking a minute or two, or even 30 seconds or a few seconds to actually think back on what you have seen or what you have read in the internet, all right? So by doing this, definitely you will be able to be more ethical and be more resilient, right? So, and then again, as mentioned, verifying information, right? As simple as posting something with a statement, all right, or with a question alongside, rather than just forwarding the message, right? So you can forward the message, but at the same time, probably with a simple, is this true? All right. All right. So rather than just simply, I said, forwarding the information. And then lastly is protecting your attention, right? So yes, you must try to protect your attention so that it would not sort of be influenced by other negative influence, right? All right, so going to Islamic digital resilience. All right, so the challenge of the algorithmic era is not merely technological. So it is a deeply psychological and also spiritual. All right, so therefore we must cultivate digital resilience grounded in Islamic ethical consequences. Ethical consciousness. All right, so this means that technology is technology, all right? So we cannot, sometimes we just cannot push aside technology. And as everyone knows, technology is developing very fast in today's world. The easiest example would be handphones. Almost every year, right? There's a new version of a particular brand, right? So yeah, almost every year there's a new version, right? So for instance, like Apple, right? Almost every year there's a new version, right? And then people would sort of rush themselves to the Apple outlet to get the new ones because of the FOMO, right? So yeah, so this goes back to having a good psychological balance, spiritual balance, or routine, right? So sometimes you just need to know what's priority for yourself. And sometimes you just need to be able to say that I'm okay not having certain things, all right? Yeah. All right, so a bit of a reflection. Are you controlling the algorithm? Well, I guess from what I've been talking for the past several minutes, all right, uh, uh, it seems that we are not in control of the algorithm. The AI is in control of the algorithm, all right? So this is something that we need to know, we need to understand, and we need to have that assertiveness in us to do whatever that is good for us, right? Okay, some of the takeaways for today would be algorithm shape behavior. All right. So as I say, uh, 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 for instance, like if you're on to games, so the algorithm would sort of entice you towards gaming, right? So and then you would be hooked up on the games, all right? So it's like the egg and chicken cycle, all right? And you will be caught up in it, and sometimes it's very difficult for you to get out of this vicious cycle. All right. And then your mental health could probably be impacted negatively if you are not strong enough to towards this uh, towards handling this digital how would I say enticement, right? And I guess at the end of the day, it's having a balance on everything that we do, all right? So if we're able to balance out everything that we do, then definitely we are on a positive side, right? Okay, so yeah, that is all that I want to share. More or less, am I being slightly fast? All right, so probably there would be question and answer, and then with that, I'll do more sharing.
Thank you very much, Professor Nasruddin, for your insightful and meaningful presentation. Your discussion has provided a deeper understanding of how digital algorithms shape adolescents' mental health, while also highlighting the importance of psychological resilience in navigating the complexities of the digital era. Distinguished participants, we are now open the floor for discussion. We warmly invite you to engage with our distinguished speakers by sharing your questions, your reflection, or your critical insight. You may either raise your hand to speak directly or write your questions in the chat room. And before that, please state your name and your institutions. Anybody wants to speak directly?
Yes, I am.
Oh, yes. Yes, Mrs. Dahria,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yes, yes. For Prof. Kartini or Prof. Siva or Prof. Nasruddin or three.
For anybody, do you want to ask for?
Okay.
Feel
And,
free for
To
Winda.
choose.
Thank you for your presentation. It's very insightful, Professor Nasruddin. I would like to ask discussion about social media have been widely conducted, including studies examining its positive or negative impacts on individuals. Numerous studies have also identified the influence of the social media on mental health. However, research that specially focus on solution or intervention strategies remains relatively limited. For example, a study conducted by Sujarwanto in 2019 involving 22,423 respondents found that 81% of Indonesian population aged 20 years and above experience negative effects of social media on mental health, and such as depression. The question is based on this, what the strategies are effective in helping adolescents maintain their mental health while using social media. And for Prof. Kartini, technology progress cannot be avoided. Yes, we agree about that. But you have presented is very good and is very relevant to the problems faced by people around the world, especially mother like me. As you mentioned earlier about DOLA, on the one hand, technology like AI make it much easier for the children to complete these tasks, their tasks. And so parents don't need to be involved because children can do their schoolwork independently. However, on the other hand, this can also have a negative effect, as a children may also get used talking shortcuts, which can make them more likely to give up easily from the psychological point of view. The question is, how can we deal with these two conditions, which in reality bring both positive and negative impacts at the same time? Thank you. And for the Prof. Shiva, can I speak in Indonesia to ask Prof. Shiva? Prof. Shiva, begini Prof. Shiva. Di era digital ini kan media sosial itu kan dianggap sebagai platform utama juga ya untuk saat ini untuk praktek dakwah ya, yang bisa jadi dengan media sosial itu kita bisa menyebarkan secara luas gitu ya pesan-pesan keagamaan gitu ya. Nah, sebagai contoh misalnya mahasiswa sekarang kan sudah mulai membuat konten gitu ya tentang dakwah dengan niat yang sebetulnya gitu ya untuk menyebarkan kebaikan. Namun dinamikanya seiring dengan waktu, saya lihat kok motivasinya bisa saja berubah gitu ya, dan lebih mendorong orang untuk mendapatkan pengakuan sosial gitu ya. Nah, bagaimana caranya ini untuk saya pribadi juga gitu ya, bagaimana caranya saya bisa mengembangkan regulasi diri saya gitu ya untuk benar-benar nanti menjaga keikhlasan dalam praktek dakwah digital gitu ya, sehingga tidak difokuskan untuk mencari validasi sosial. Begitu Prof. Siva, terima kasih.
Yes, thank you, Bu Indah. Any other question? I mean, direct question. If it's no, we have several questions in the chat box. So I read it for you. One from Dian Nafi to Mr. Shiva Amin Widigdo. How Islamic thought talk about ADHD and how to handle it. ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, right? And then the second one from Dasim, a master's student in Islamic Studies, Universitas Muhammadiyah, Yogyakarta. Also to Mr. Shifa Amin Widigdo. Based on the seminar discussion, algorithms appear to be a key to understanding the contemporary internet era, representing the mechanistic dimension of digital society through algorithmic system processes such as information flow and decision-making operate in structured and causal ways. Without grasping this mechanistic aspect, it is difficult to fully understand the nature of the digital age and its complexities. In this context, could a similar mechanistic approach be applied to Islamic understanding, particularly in developing tafsir methods? By incorporating exact logic and system-based analysis, might it be possible to elaborate the meanings of revelation in a more operational and contextual way, while still preserving revelation as the primary source of truth? What is your view on this? I think there are three questions for first section. Please, Mr. Nasruddin Subahi.
Alright.
First.
Soalan yang pertama daripada Ibu Indah tadi untuk saya kan?
Yeah, yeah.
Alright. Saya kira soalan tersebut it coincides with the question by Azam Shukri also here. I'll try to answer both simultaneously. All right, I guess it all goes back to education, right? Trying to educate our young ones starting from the early age, right? So education is very important. So meaning that because it has to start from the parents themselves. So meaning that the parents need to have basic understanding what is good and what is bad for their children. Nowadays, we tend to see parents going outside, for instance, like dining out at a restaurant, and then as a family, so they would be having the father, the mother, and sometimes the young kids with them. And sometimes knowing young kids, they would sort of have less focus, and sometimes they sort of want to be running around and things like that. So what the parents do is that the parents would sort of provide these kids with gadgets so that in order for them to have that sort of peace of mind while dining out, right? So again, by doing this, it sort of reinforced to the kids that gadget is good and gadget is needed, and they can get whatever they want if they sort of put a bit of a tantrum, right? So this is and again I would sort of believe that for the parents, ya, untuk ibu-ibu dan bapa ni, mereka sendiri formal, ya. So sepatutnya mereka kalau tahu ada anak yang kecil, mereka take away ataupun beli dan makan saja di rumah. Tapi disebabkan oleh sifat FOMO mereka yang orang makan di restoran itu dan ini mereka juga mahu pergi dan merasai. So it's again orang cakap dia terkait antara satu sama lain. Yeah. So and of course bila kalau anak-anak itu sudah terdidik daripada kecil kan, jadi itu mudah, ya, sebab ibaratnya macam melentur bulu biar dari rebungnya, kan? Itu peribahasa Melayu kita, ya. So kalau misalnya sudah semakin tua, ya, semakin susah untuk kita lentur. Dan begitu juga remaja. Because selalunya remaja mereka akan mudah terpengaruh dengan kawan-kawan, ya. So itu sebabnya pada saya, ya, umur anak-anak itu sebelum masuk sekolah itu adalah paling crucial untuk ibu dan bapa melentur mereka. Put on apa, guidance, rules and regulation, building a strong foundation, right? Because once if they started to go out for schooling and whatnot, and that's when it'd be more difficult for you uh, to try to put on rules and regulation at that age. All right. So yeah, that answers the question.
Thank you, Professor Nasruddin. Next, we would like to hear from Professor Kartini.
Good noon. Again, Assalamualaikum. So I think I have reviewed the questions from the chat in our Zoom, and also very similar to the question raised by yang tadi. Saya lupa
Yes.
namanya, maaf ya. Very similar. So we are curious about we understand and we admit that the technology is now here and it is part of our children's life, and we cannot take that away from them. We cannot take that reality away from them. So we have to embrace that. So as a parents or as a teacher, as an educator, how could we benefit from the technology? Although we have highlighted the negative effect of that, but it's also important that our children will grow up being oriented about technology. So, especially for young children, the question was about how can we benefit, from the algorithm that is set by the technology. I think the very important thing we do as a parent or as an educator is to regulate the use of the technology for young children. Regulate in a way that we have to limit and supervise their use, because it is very wrong just to let children use the technology without our supervision or without our guidance. Sometimes parents choose the easy way to calm their children just by providing technology. They will not like go around or disturb them. So for me, the reason why I provide technology to my children in some cases. In some days that if I'm very busy, just to appease my children, I provide them the cell phone just for them to be quiet. And I admit that's a very wrong practice for the parents like me. I think we have to find ways not to resort to technology right away. And based on the research that technology is not really healthy when it is consumed in a maximum limit, no, because it is just recommended that for children the healthy exposure is only 1 hour. So I guess to benefit from the technology, uh, from the use of technology for children, we need to regulate it, to supervise the use of that. And if we can, I think it is important that we should not provide technology for young children. And if we need to, we have to sit with them. We have to co-view the screen or to use the technology with them. We should not leave them alone. So instead of distracting their attention with technology, we should resort to other alternatives. Like, why not provide manipulative materials instead of cell phone? So right now, as a millennial parents of digital native kids, I'm trying to I am investing now in buying toys for my children instead of giving them tablets or cell phone. And if there is a need for us to use an technology, I think we should be selective on what content we provide to the children. There are a lot of child-friendly content available online, and I think as a parents, we need to be critical and mindful about what are the apps we upload for our children and what kind of live streaming or video streaming we provide to them. So again, a personal experience in the app store, I buy some apps for my kids. I pay for it because I believe it is developmentally appropriate for them. So what is good about the apps that I bought is that it limits the exposure of children by informing the parents that your child has reached this maximum limit of exposure. So for me as a modern day parents, that is very helpful for me. So having that kind of apps available online. And I think it is very also important for us as an adult to educate ourselves or to inform ourselves about the controlled setting of technology that is available. We should maximize that use because that way we can take control of our children's exposure to technology instead of just leave the technology to our children. And I think the most important skills that we can teach our children the technology is how to operate it. Like for example, they need to understand how to operate cell phones, how to operate computers, but they also need to understand the amount of healthy time they have to spend interacting with the technology. So there is a lot of things that we need to learn as an educator in this modern time. And I think it's a very interesting topic to explore about the healthy amount of technology engagement for the children. So again, I'd like to wrap up also it's for everyone that I think it's very important to regulate the use of technology for young children. And as much as possible, we keep it to minimum. And if there is a need for them to learn about technology, just expose them to the basic operation of it. And yeah, as a parent, as an adult, we are very influential on the development of our children. I think we should take control of their exposure to technology. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kartini. Next, we are going to hear from Mr. Shiva Amin Widikjeo. Apparently, speakers already read the chat box themselves, so
Okay. Thank you, Salawati, and thank you for all the questions given to all of us. Probably I'll answer the question regarding whether it is applicable or not to use a mechanistic approach or algorithmic approach to understand the Quran, right? The understanding from Dasim to reveal the meaning from the Quran. Of course, first of all, the question whether it is applicable, is it okay to apply the algorithmic approach to understand or to reveal the meaning of the Quran? Quran is open corpus, it's open text, can be approached from many different directions, right? The classical one, without having AI or computer or algorithmic system, they use their available devices at the time to understand, to use Quran through the languages, through linguistic approach, philosophical approach, scientific approach, or whatever approach that they have, right? But the questions here is not only whether it is applicable or not, can be applied to the Quran or not. Yes, the meaning of the Quran can be closed, can be revealed, can be found through approach that we are using. But question is how we interact with the meaning that we have found, right? So, for example, from Nursi's perspective that we mentioned earlier, whatever meaning that we have found, when we come to the text again and again, it always reveals new meaning to us in relation to us. Let's say, for example, it is okay to understand the word nafs, soul, or self, let's say, in the Quran. Through algorithmic approach, we can calculate how many times nafs is mentioned in the Quran. what is the synonym words of the synonym words of nafs in the Quran? What are those words? What are those words used in what kind of context that reveal different meanings, probably, right? That can be done by using algorithmic approach. But after we found the meaning, after we found whatever meaning that we have, it always reveal new relation to us. The meaning is always renewed, always dynamic to us. For example, when we say in the old time, what so-called nafsul ammarah, bisu, for example. Su is very visible, offline, non-digital su. Was non-digital events, right? But now we are interacting with in the digital world, for example. The su are reflected in different forms. For example, the desire to be visible in the world, the desire to be famous, the desire to be validated, to be liked, things like that. So the meaning is the same, but our interaction with kind of meaning is renewed, right? So if we use side notice approach in terms of in terms of the formation of our understanding, our subjectivity, our relation with the meaning that we can deduce from the algorithmic approach to the Quran is always dynamic, right? It's always dynamic. So that is I think the challenge for us. So that kind of meaning, what we are using it for example, to form what kind of subjectivity, okay. Maybe answering the second question as well from Pak Sukri. Let's say, for example, yes, our preferences is to certain extent is driven by algorithm in the social media, our behaviors as well, our preferences as well, because we are fed through algorithmic system what we likes and what we will watch. But to form, let's say we want to form using Michel Foucault's term, our telos, our objective is to be abid, servanthood subjectivity. So we will use certain training, certain practices to form ourselves to become that kind of subjectivity, to form that kind of objectivity. It means, let's say, our visibility in the digital world, in the social media, if we understand that our goal is to become abid, to become to become servant of God, we are not easily down when we receive hate comments, for example, or we not easily self-praise, easily proud of ourselves if we get some praises from the viewers, from our followers, from those who comment good for us, because we are realizing that all things coming from us is from God and for God, right? So that kind of telos, kind of objective, kind of goal to become abid can be cultivated through certain regimens, so certain trainings, practices. For example, if we can keep ourselves in muhasabah, self-reflection, self-introspection, whether our visibility in the social media, for example, for the sake of spreading da'wah, like Mbak Indah said, spreading a wider betterment of the world, wider good, for example, or only for the sake of visibility itself, for the sake of gaining reputation, better recognition, or money for monetizing, for example. If we have a constant, continuous muhasabah, we can erase the bad things from us, and we can increase the good intention from us. Through dhikr, for example. Whether, for example, if we are right now, I don't know what, a couple weeks ago, I asked my students, what are the most viewed video or feed that you have in your social media? I guess initially, they will see or read, watch the news regarding the war in Iran, for example. They don't know about the war in Iran. They don't know the detail, the steps, things like that. What is it? It's always fed to my account. Or whether there is a ceasefire or not, things like that. Whether the mental state of Donald Trump, which keeps changing, that is fed to me. But for the students, no. They said it's furab. Anybody know what furab means? Fuji and Arab, Reza Arab. It's out of my mind. What is that? It is two big influencers in Indonesia. Fuji is one of the celebrity, and Reza Arab is also celebrity. And regarding their relationship, it's pretty the same. Students in my neighborhood and students in my class, they know all of these things. That's how algorithm fed us, right? If we are not conscious of our preferences, if we not keep remembering, keep self-reflection, keep dhikr, remembrance, we'll be lost in that algorithmic world, right? Whether this is preferences, sometimes you need to find different views as well. For example, sometimes, yes, the Iran side is always fed me with certain videos, news, things like that. But I need sometimes to see from the other way around, from the other side. How can they have different arguments? What is their most ideological, or what's the truth that they have in mind? Things like that. Just to balance, to make our mind more sane, bisa lebih sehat dan sadar, things like that. Although in the end of the day, we need to decide which preference that is. The main consideration is not what is fed to us, but the main consideration is what is good for us, informed by, for example, the Quranic guidance, the Hadith guidance, our inner sincerity, things like that. And move to the questions of what ADHD, right? Attention deficit and hyperactive disorder. I'm not that expert. I'm not the expert of ADHD, but what we can learn from my previous presentation is that there is one techniques, what's so-called suhbah and nasihah, companionship and counsel. What does it mean? It needs to be tackled and handled by professional, the counsel from the professional, who knows, who can diagnose the mental state of the children, and what is appropriate practices, appropriate treatment, appropriate therapy for him or her, right? It can, for example, in Islamic perspective, you can use whether dhikr training, or muhasabah practices, or for example, in Islamic in Muslim tradition, there is so-called bibliotherapy practices by reciting poems, for example, by reciting certain dhikr, adhkar, for example. But let's leave it to the professionals, right? Leave it to the expert. They can invent, or they can give diagnosis and ways of treating the ADHD. Maybe Pak Nasruddin Sobhi, who experienced with a lot of juvenile in Malaysia, also can have an idea on how to handle this kind of problem. And last but not least, how, I don't know, to answer it in Indonesia or in English. Ya, kalau kita berada di dunia sosial, awalnya memang punya niat untuk dakwah gitu ya. Tapi sekali lagi, kalau kita balikkan ke tadi itu, niat dakwah tadi itu, kita juga harus mengukur diri, melihat diri kita sendiri. Dalam konteks 3 sumber ria tadi itu, apakah itu kita hanya love for praise, karena senang dipuji orang, bagus presentasinya, terus kemudian kita merasa, kita hebat. Nah, itu harus ditangani dengan muhasabah lagi tadi itu. Is it for a good cause, a good objective, a good purpose or not? Kalau tidak, our presence in social media only for the sake of visibility, fame. Misalnya, karena apa? Kalau only for the sake of visibility, we will take misalnya yang paling kontroversial to get viewership. It's easily you can get a lot of viewers. For example, when I'm in, I have also YouTube channel called Wonder Home Library. If my channel discussing about Salafism, it's always trigger controversy, a lot of viewership. If I want to pursue on that the discussion, the viewership is high. But sometimes it's okay too for not having viewers. It's okay too so we need to balance between inner sincerity, niat yang ada di dalam hati, and public visibility for the greater good, agar bisa kita dikenal, dakwah kita bisa ke mana-mana gitu. Is it easy to have solitary sincerity? Kalau kita sendiri menjaga keikhlasan mungkin mudah gitu. Meskipun tidak selalu ikhlas ya. Misalnya saya biar dianggap orang yang rajin, yang khusyuk, mengurung diri saja seakan-akan belajar dan segala macam agar mendapatkan pujian dari sana. Oh, ini di kantor dari jam 6 pagi sampai 6 sore giat sekali. Biasa saja gitu. Tapi it is more challenging if you can maintain inner sincerity in the public visibility. Untuk membalance itu. Tetap ikhlas, tapi juga bisa menyebar tadi unsur-unsur yang sifatnya kedakwahan gitu. Ya. Apa itu namanya? Nah, meregulasi dirinya kira-kira begitu, Bu Indah. We regulate ourselves through constant muhasabah, through a continuous self-renewal gitu ya, self-renewal. Jangan lupa juga, not only public visibility not necessarily means in the social media. You can also balance it with offline companionship. Ya, ngopi sama Mbak Salawati, ngopi sama Bu Fitri. That's also help to flourish ourselves, gitu ya. To flourish ourselves, to maintain our sincerity, whatever medium that we are using. Apapun medium yang kita gunakan, termasuk di dalamnya sosial media. Tapi juga ada isu yang lain. Kalau kita tidak hati-hati, public appearance, public visibility, without we are having, apa itu namanya, authority. For example, when from non-psychological background, talking about psychology in the social media can easily stray people away. Same thing in Islamic studies. You are talking about Islam, you are talking about da'wah, but you don't have enough knowledge on Islam, Islamic tradition, and Muslim tradition, and things like that. So if you are rebuted or refuted by people, you cannot reply. What is the proper reply? There are many things in social media. The one who just learned Islam 2 or 3 weeks and then give fatwas, blaming here and there, even challenging authoritative ulama, and that doesn't last long. That not spread dakwah, that also spread falsehood and ignorance, right? And hopefully we are not part of that kind of person in the public visibility. That's all, Mbak Aci, from me. Hopefully, give some insight for the questioners. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much. For the end of the session, we like to hear a close statement from Professor Nasruddin Subahi.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. All right, so basically, for a close statement, I would say that educating ourselves is very important, all right, in terms of digitalization, all right, regardless of what age you're at, right? So, and because although we consider ourselves as matured, all right, with the current digital changes, sometimes we get caught up with the struggle ourselves. So definitely we also need to try to learn and understand how the advancements of digitalization is happening, and yeah, try to maneuver ourselves ethically in today's world, right? I guess that's from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. I think all question already answered, and for participant who doesn't have time to ask a question, you can find the speakers from Google Scholars and email them directly. Okay, finally we come to the end of the session one. A huge thank you for our speakers for their insight across time zones, and to all of you for engaging in the discussion. And big thanks to all participants who stay on until the end. Please join me a virtual round of applause. Feel free to hit the clap reaction. On behalf of Doctoral Program of Islamic Educational Psychology team, thank you so much and see you in the next session. I'll hand it back to Dr. Fitriah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aci, Ms. Salawati. Thank you very much, Pak Siva, Bu Kartini, and Pak Nasruddin Subhi. We sincerely apologize because I think there are many insightful questions, I think, from participants. But however, due to limited time, so we can only address a view. So as a view come at the end of this session, allow me to just a brief reflect of our discussion about international conference today. We have explored how the self is shaped in the algorithmic era, how digital influence affect early childhood, and how adolescents face growing psychological challenges in digital life. And then the discussion reminds us that the algorithmic era is not merely technology, not technological, but deeply human, ethical, psychological, and spiritual, I think. And the speaker highlight that technology is shaped who become resilient must be cultivated, and Islamic thought offer the meaningful framework for guiding life in digital age. And I would like to express our sincere appreciation to our